For over a century, football has had its share of controversial incidents where players have bent, broken, or outright defied the rules to gain an advantage. Cheating in football has evolved over the years, with tactics ranging from unsportsmanlike behavior to elaborate match-fixing schemes. Let's take a journey back in time, starting from the early 20th century, to explore some of the most shocking moments in football's history of cheating. In the 1920s, footballers took their determination to win to disturbing levels. Imagine this: players actually dug holes in the pitch, hoping their opponents would stumble and get injured. Fast forward to 1960, and players were caught hiding blades in their boots, ready to injure their opponents. And if you think that was extreme, modern-day cheaters have upped the ante by using lasers to distract and blind players on the field. Our story kicks off in 1915, when one of the earliest and most infamous match-fixing scandals occurred in a match between Manchester United and Liverpool. At the time, Manchester United was fighting to avoid relegation, while Liverpool was comfortably positioned in the middle of the table. When the two teams met, something unusual happened. The referee noticed that Liverpool players seemed uninterested in competing, with missed penalties and visible frustration when teammates tried to score. The game ended with Manchester United winning 2-0, which saved them from relegation and sent Chelsea down instead. It later emerged that 7 players were involved in a betting scandal, all wagering on a 2-0 victory for United. As a result, the English FA banned these players from football for life. Sadly, match-fixing didn't disappear. It continues to plague the sport even today. In 1924, officials took matters into their own hands by literally tampering with the playing field. During a crucial match in Buenos Aires, a team from Chacarita was so desperate to win the league that they sneaked into the pitch the night before and dug holes, hoping their rivals would suffer injuries. However, the plan backfired, and their opponents avoided the traps, winning the game and the league title. Sometimes, cheaters don't get what they're after. In 1960, Carlos Bilardo took cheating to a whole new level by hiding needles in his boots. Bilardo, playing in midfield for Argentina, would prick his opponents mid-game. He later carried his unethical methods into his coaching career, encouraging players to rub substances like deep heat in their opponents' eyes or offering tainted water to Brazil's team. His morally questionable tactics actually paid off, as Bilardo eventually led Argentina to World Cup glory. One of the most brutal moments in football's dark history of cheating came in 1983, when Athletic Bilbao's Andoni Goicoechea, known as the Butcher of Bilbao, delivered a vicious tackle that broke Diego Maradona's leg. This deliberate act left the legendary player sidelined, while Goicoechea received a 16-game ban. Disturbingly, Goicoechea keeps the boot he used on display in his home as a twisted memento of that incident. But not all cheating involves physical harm. Graham Souness, during his time managing Rangers in the 1980s, found a sneaky loophole in the rules. In a European Cup match against Dynamo Kiev, Souness ordered the pitch to be shrunk by moving the white lines inward. His strategy aimed to create a tighter, more physical game, which led to a 2-0 win for Rangers and their advancement to the next round. Although not technically against the rules at the time, this move sparked a regulation change requiring clubs to declare their pitch size before the season began. Perhaps one of the most infamous incidents of cheating occurred during a 1989 World Cup qualifying match between Brazil and Chile. Chile's goalkeeper, Roberto Rojas, collapsed on the pitch after a flare was thrown onto the field, supposedly by a Brazilian fan. Medics rushed to his aid, and it appeared that the flare had caused him to bleed. The Chilean team argued that Brazil should be disqualified, as their fans had endangered the players. However, a photographer's image revealed that the flare never actually hit Rojas. In a desperate bid to qualify for the World Cup, Rojas had hidden a razor blade in his glove and to hurt himself. His deceit was uncovered, leading to Chile's disqualification from the World Cup, and Rojas was banned for life. As we step into the 1990s, the stakes in football cheating hit unprecedented levels. Players and clubs were pushing boundaries in ways that seemed unimaginable. From banned substances to off-pitch scandals, the 90s was a wild era, and it all started with one of football's most iconic players, Diego Maradona. In 1991, Maradona, known for his infamous Hand of God goal in the 1986 World Cup, was caught in yet another scandal. This time, it was a doping violation. After a routine test, Maradona tested positive for illegal substance, leading to a 15-month suspension from football. You would think after such a major incident, he would clean up his act. But no. In 1994, during the World Cup, history repeated itself when he was caught doping once again, earning him another ban. It was a tragic downfall for one of football's greatest talents, marking a low point in his otherwise legendary career. While Maradona's saga was unfolding, other players were making headlines for their own acts of deceit. One such case occurred in 1995 during the Bundesliga title race between Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. In what felt like a final, Dortmund midfielder Andreas Mahler took a dive in the box, earning his team a penalty in a crucial match. There was no contact whatsoever, yet the referee awarded the penalty. Dortmund won the game, and the victory ultimately handed them the Bundesliga title. Although Mahler was later fined, suspended from the national team, and banned for 2 matches, it didn't matter to him. He had already claimed the title, making it all worth it in his eyes. Then there was the infamous Rivaldo incident at the 2002 World Cup. Rivaldo, one of Brazil's finest, took the art of diving to new extremes during a match against Turkey. When a Turkish player kicked the ball towards him, Rivaldo dramatically acted as though he had been hit in the face, despite the ball striking him on the leg. The Turkish player was sent off, and Brazil went on to win both the match and the tournament. Rivaldo was fined a meager £5,000 for his theatrics, but as he stood with a World Cup winner's medal around his neck, it's safe to say he wasn't too bothered. But cheating wasn't confined to the pitch. In 2003, Manchester United legend Ryan Giggs found himself embroiled in a personal scandal of epic proportions. For 8 long years, Giggs had been carrying on an affair with none other than his brother's wife. When the truth finally came to light, it shattered his family. His brother, Rodri Giggs, expressed his disbelief and devastation, recalling the moment he confronted Ryan, armed with text messages and photos as evidence. This scandal forever tarnished Giggs' reputation, not only as a footballer but as a family man. Amazingly, Giggs wasn't the only Manchester United icon to be involved in a cheating scandal in 2003. David Beckham also made headlines when it was revealed that he had an affair with a woman named Rebecca Luce. At the time, Beckham was married to his wife, Victoria, and was perhaps the most famous footballer on the planet. The revelation rocked the world, and though Beckham and Victoria's marriage endured, the public scrutiny was intense. Victoria later described the affair as the hardest challenge they had faced in their relationship. Shifting back to on-pitch controversies, in 2006, Italian football was rocked by one of the biggest scandals in its history, Calciopoli. This match-fixing scandal involved some of the top clubs in Serie A, including Juventus, AC Milan, Fiorentina, and Lazio. These clubs were accused of selecting referees who would favor them in crucial matches, with behind-the-scenes maneuvering involving secretive phone calls and foreign numbers to make tracing difficult. When the scandal came to light, the consequences were massive. Juventus was hit hardest, being relegated to Serie B and stripped of 2 Serie A titles. AC Milan was docked 30 points from the previous season and 8 points for the upcoming season, while Fiorentina, Lazio, and other clubs faced points deductions and bans from European competitions. Juventus' demotion caused a mass exodus of their star players, including Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Patrick Vieira, and Fabio Cannavaro. Despite the setback, the club managed to fight their way back to Serie A the following season, but the scandal left an indelible mark on Italian football and damaged the reputation of several clubs and players. By the time we reached 2010, one act of cheating in football managed to spark outrage across an entire nation. During the World Cup quarterfinal between Uruguay and Ghana, Luis Suarez became the center of controversy. With the game tied and heading into extra time, Ghana were piling pressure on Uruguay. In the dying moments of extra time, a ball flew towards goal, seemingly destined to send Ghana to the semifinals, the first African team to ever do so. But just as it was about to cross the line, Luis Suarez intentionally used his hands to block the ball. He was instantly red-carded and sent off, but his act gave Uruguay a glimmer of hope as Ghana missed the resulting penalty. The match ended in a draw, leading to a penalty shootout where Uruguay triumphed, breaking Ghanaian hearts and sending them out of the tournament. Suarez's handball wasn't just an ordinary foul. It was seen as a malicious act that cost Ghana their World Cup dreams. The Ghanaian people gave him the nickname Diablo, meaning devil, and to this day, Suarez is reviled in the country. However, Suarez himself showed no remorse, famously stating, "I did the handball, but the Ghana player missed the penalty, not me." His lack of apology and defiant attitude only added fuel to the fire. While he technically paid the price for his actions by being sent off, it's still debated whether the punishment fit the crime. But Suarez wasn't the only figure making headlines for bizarre forms of cheating. In 2013, a Brazilian football match saw an incident straight out of a comedy sketch. During a cup game, the club's masseuse took it upon himself to save the day, quite literally. As the opposing team launched in harm and the ball headed towards an open net, the masseuse ran onto the pitch and made not one, but two saves, before sprinting off to avoid a furious mob of players.
What do you mean by
His
that?
heroics kept his team in the game, and although it was an outrageous act of cheating, it helped his team progress to the next round of the cup. Needless to say, this incident has gone down in football infamy. By 2014, cheating in football had become even more sophisticated with the rise of technology. Ahead of a World Cup match, France noticed drones flying above their training ground. It later came to light that Honduras had deployed these drones to spy on the French team, hoping to gather intel on their tactics. Despite their sneaky strategy, it didn't pay off, as France easily cruised to a 3-0 victory. Ironically, just a few years later in 2017, Honduras claimed to be victims of the same drone spying method, this time allegedly carried out by Australia, though the truth behind those claims remains questionable. In 2022, however, cheating took on a new form that targeted individual players. During the World Cup qualifiers, Egypt and Senegal found themselves in a nail-biting battle for the final African spot at the World Cup. After two intense matches, the teams were tied, forcing the game into a penalty shootout. When Egyptian superstar Mo Salah stepped up to take his penalty, Senegalese fans used green lasers to blind him, visibly affecting his focus. Salah, who rarely misses, sent the ball flying off target. Moments later, Senegal's Sadio Mane calmly slotted his penalty, sending Senegal to the World Cup and leaving Egypt devastated. The blatant use of lasers in the crowd to influence the outcome left a sour taste for many fans and players alike, with some questioning whether FIFA should have intervened more forcefully. But perhaps the most shocking case of recent cheating came in 2024, involving a World Cup winner. Paul Pogba, once hailed as one of the brightest talents in football, was hit with a 4-year ban after failing a doping test. In August, after being an unused substitute for Juventus in a Serie A match, Pogba was randomly selected for a drug test. A month later, the results came back positive, revealing the use of illegal substances. Despite Pogba's claims that he didn't knowingly take any performance-enhancing drugs, the counter-analysis confirmed the initial findings, leading to a career-defining punishment. This ban means Pogba won't be eligible to play professional football until 2027, by which time he'll be 35 years old, well beyond his prime. For many fans, this marked the end of a once promising career that had already seen its fair share of ups and downs. While Pogba maintains his innocence, the stain of cheating lingers, leaving many to wonder what could have been if his career hadn't taken such a drastic downturn. And that's it for today's episode of Touchline Tales. Football may be a beautiful game, but as we've seen, it also has its moments of controversy and deception. While some cheaters get caught and punished, others leave a lasting mark on the sport's history. What's your take on these incidents? Do you think the punishments fit the crimes? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into football's most controversial moments, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating stories from the world of football. Until next time, keep the love for the game strong and always play fair.